Hi guys, so today I have got Rob with me. Now Rob is a very good friend of mine through my local rugby club. He's a hard-working father and well, you've been in lockdown for quite a while now, mate. So how's it going, more importantly?
Yeah, we're doing really well, thanks, mate. We're 8 weeks in now.
Mm-hmm.
Just to explain maybe to some of the people that are listening, is that my youngest son, Jack, is severely immunosuppressed. So he fights two very rare conditions. He's under Great Ormond Street, and to cut a long story short, he's had a couple of bone marrow transplants that were unsuccessful. He has to endure weekly transfusions, daily injections, quite evasive cares, and he's been doing that really since he was only a few months old. So yeah, our circumstances aren't the norm by any stretch. But one of the reasons I asked that I'd like, because obviously I follow ABC Gym. You yourself, your family, and your business has been a supporter of what the charitable organisation that was set up with my young Jack, my son, in mind, called the Jack's Journeyman. You've been a great support of that from the start. So obviously, I'm with obviously friends, and I follow it. But the reason I want to get involved with this was just because your videos are really good. You've shown people that if we're all in lock-in, whether you're a business owner or whatever else, you've got to find the positive, share the positives, take a bit from it, and we've all just got to knuckle down in whatever way and get on as best we can. So that's why I wanted to get involved, really.
No, I really appreciate that, man. And I think a lot can be learned when it comes to motivation from people that do have a longer lock-in than the rest of us and have different struggles, because everyone does have their own struggle. And I think recently there's a few celebrities that have been dragged through the media because they are not coping very well, and people being people have just kind of gone after them, and I think that's probably a bad way to do it. And I don't think anyone really can look at anyone else's situation and say, well, they've got it easy. The individual's the individual, but I think you guys do have an exceptional way of looking at things, and a very, very different circumstance that I think the majority of us would probably struggle with. So, I mean, talk to us about your daily. What's your day like?
Yeah, well, I think the thing is, for us to remember, when we've done this before. When he was first born, we were 16 months in an isolation room in Great Ormond Street. So you had a ready room, and completely cut off. And as I've mentioned to Pete whenever I talk to him about it before, when I say we, it's mostly Jack's mum. She's the real the backbone of us getting on with these challenging circumstances. But I like to use we because I've got to be part of it. But she's really the backbone. So we went through nearly 18 months in a room. So this, what we're going through right now, is it's like a holiday camp, because we're very lucky that we've got our own house, and as I'm talking to you now, we've got a balcony, so we can see the world go by, and we've got a garden, and we've got a lot to be thankful for. We're not just in a room, but despite our circumstances, i.e. the administering of these specialist cares and the monitoring of our youngest every day, despite that, I think the thing is you have to take stock of your positives, because we could all sit down, and I'm obviously talking from personal experience, and just completely get absorbed. And you know this yourself, because I've spoken to you about it when I've been in these places, but you get absorbed by it, and it weighs you down. It's human, it's natural to get weighed down from something that's not the norm, and you get negged out, and you get your routine taken away from you, and those 18 months when we were in Great Ormond Street, it was isolation. We couldn't engage with everyone. We couldn't physically be in contact with our other two kids, with family members. It was on the other side of a glass, and that was really hard. But not just that, but things like I lost my business from it, and we had to sacrifice financially. I was running a home that we didn't live in, and trying as best I can to support the other two kids whilst not almost being there hardly at all. And it was very, very difficult. It was a lot of difficulty with it. And what made it worse is because I focused, because it wasn't the norm, on the difficulty. I look back in hindsight now on the 18 months, and there is a lot of positives that we could have taken from it, but you don't. You get sucked into the neg. And one of the other things that impacts that, because we're going back, 7 years now, 6 years, was social media. Our contact to the outside world, almost solely, even if it was with loved ones, was through social media. So, when it's like, so you're on Facebook and you think, for me, it was like, I like Billy Connolly, so I'll click Billy Connolly's page, and it gives me all these Billy Connolly jokes and anecdotes and whatever. It's great. But at that time as well, I always had interest in things that were maybe political or what. But I designed my own narrative of what was fed through to me, and it was the worst thing, because I had no engagement from of real engagement, of sense checking from a social circle or from family or whatever else. I was just getting all of this information that was I'd chosen the narrative from where it was come from, and it didn't do me any favours. And obviously, before we clicked on this, before I just said to you, like, I'll switch Facebook off because it's all a bit neg, and it it really is. But the only reason it is neg for me personally, anyone can take it or leave it, it's just because everybody, I think, at the moment they're in shock. This is everyone keeps referring to it as unprecedented. It is unprecedented times. A lot of us are scratching their head thinking, why are we doing this again? So, okay, it's, and okay, and try and think about the bigger picture. And it's just stay at home, shelf stackers can go out because they're going to be feeding us, but you doing what you do, you stay at home. And, nurses and doctors, you go out and risk yourselves, and everyone else. There's so much craziness that's out there that you've got to try and assimilate, or people trying to assimilate, that they're all almost in a state of fear, what I describe as fear-based shock. So that's why I think there's a lot of negativity on that platform. Yeah. It's different, I think, with other platforms like Instagram or whatever else. It's like a nice picture, or it's easier just to move on from it. But for me personally, I get absorbed into that. And I see so many of my network of people who are similarly in situations like ours. Yeah. And, we can administer Jack's cares. We've got friends that can't administer their family's cares. So they're being, where our professor at Great Ormond Street said, look, you guys, whatever happens to Joe Public, if we get good news that we can all start coming out again, that's not going to apply to you. We're as I said, we're 8 weeks in already, so we got in early because we had to. Yeah. But he phoned up and said, no, you're in. So don't, the opposite of Mickey Flanagan. You ain't coming out.
You're in it.
Until we've got a grasp on this. So sustain yourself, get yourself your support network around here. But there's families out there that don't get that reprieve. They have to go in and expose their immunosuppressed child or loved one, whoever they are, to what's going on, and it's not pleasant to see it, and it feels so. For me, I'm quite a caring fella, a bit emotional best of times anyway. So I hate seeing suffering, especially to kiddies and people that are in need and whatever else. So it's hard for me certainly to see that when they're crying out for help, and we've got a lot of friends that work. This is before Jack happened. That work in the NHS, and to hear them say, "Look, I've got 2 school friends that are in A&E at Southend, and they're saying we're not equipped. We can't be. They were a few weeks back. They were taking donations of Tesco shopping bags to sellotape round their feet, and you know, it's such a craziness going on, you know, that it's difficult with all that whirring, all this bombardment of these aren't little tidbits like of people posting, "This is my dinner tonight."
Yeah, this is real stuff.
This is someone saying, "Well, I'm a nurse. I can't see my kids for the next week or 2 weeks because of, you know," and it's heart wrenching. And naturally for me, I thought this is just neg. So I switched it off.
Yeah.
Switched it off, and you got. I think that's the thing. People have got to do that. If it ain't doing you any good, it's not burying your head in the sand. It's giving yourself a cooler. Switch it off. Switch it off. You got the positive. Everyone's got positives in their life. Whether they want to sit there and say, "No, I ain't," because this big thing's hanging over me. Don't concentrate on the big thing. Look at these little. Look at the positive. Switch that off for now, and just try and focus yourself, personally from experience, in the positives.
I think focusing on right now helps that as well. If you're focusing on the past, or if you're looking into the future, you'll either get depressed or anxious. Whereas if we try and focus on what's happening to us right now, 9 times out of 10 we can ground ourselves a bit better. But it's something I can say it, but I struggle to do that as well.
But that's natural. Everyone has to accept. No one is going to be going, "I've got this. This is easy.
Yeah.
Do me a favour." No one has got this. No one. Whether you're minted, living in a luxury place, whether you're, you know, destitute, no one has got this.
No.
And we're all technically, in that regard, the same. So it's all right to go, "I'm switching off from this." But that's what I'd say. You've got to find whatever your positives are. I've got so many positives.
Weather's great at the moment. We've got outside.
Weather's great.
Outside as well.
We're outside. But it's things like, the other thing is who you surround yourself with, who you do engage with.
Yeah,
is that we are so lucky with our family. So for 8 weeks, we've not been able to see our other 2 kids, because just as this was kicking off, my daughter had temperatures and felt a bit groggy. So she wasn't tested. We don't know whether she had it or whatever else. But of course, we had to just make a call and say, "Right, well, you can't be here." And so you can imagine how devastating that, because I've not been with their mum now. We divorced 12, 13 years, 13, long time ago.
Yeah.
But it's all amicable, but we literally have 50% split. So they enjoy both family lives, and then with her new husband and husband, they're part of it, and that's so important. And for the first time ever since everything that's been happening to her, they're not part of it anymore. So it's lovely that we get to FaceTime, we get to call each other, but for 8 weeks they've not been there during these transfusions to come and hold Jack's hand and to help settle him. And, you know, there's loads of real gut-wrenching stuff. That are little things, in the great scheme of, but they are our big things. But if we dwell on them, that's it. I ain't getting up tomorrow. I'm just gonna. We can't do that. And even they're, you know, Ollie's 19, Sophia's like 15, going on 25. But they're so mature, emotionally mature, and well equipped for this type of stuff that we won't dwell on these negatives. It's just right. Well, okay, we can't do that. Let's look at the positives then.
Let's make the most of it.
Yeah.
So I mean, go back to for everyone watching or listening, depending on when you're watching or listening, because we could be talking to the future. I personally, and we've personally been in for 4 weeks. So Rob and his family have been in for 8. So they've been in 4 weeks earlier than everyone else.
Yeah, I've done it.
Yeah, yeah. So you've done substantial time. When you did this, you told me you did this before. What was the process of going in to see Jack when he was younger? How did you work? So what was it like coming into the house? What did you have to do? What processes did you have to follow?
Well, in those where we were in that isolated ward, it was called Robin Ward in Great Ormond Street, and it was for it was immunosupressed children that were having bone marrow transplants. It's like controlled environment where families can have. It's like a bigger space. It's a large room, but you have an ante room you have to go into first. So the clothes you wear in the outside world. If I was to go to the shop, so this social distancing, what people are practicing now, I had to practice that when I went out and got shopping for me and Vic.
Yeah.
And it was, so you imagine I'm the only person practicing social distancing. Everyone else is just normal in that area of West London. But so people looked at me like I was some freak. If someone sneezed, if someone, but there've been instances like that as well where we're post that because of Jack's conditions where we are isolated, and we do live that way anyway, because there are times when his numbers are low that he the nature of his conditions, like he can't bruise properly, he can't heal properly, he can't so there's a high intensity of care always. But back then it was totally new to me. This was alien, and I was having to adopt it because they said if you get sick, if you get anything, then you can't be involved with Vic. And it means so there was a lot of sacrifice, and it was psychologically it was hard because my life comparatively was a gift prior to that, but of course we live it, and we I didn't know it was a gift. I just thought I was the same as everyone else. I was just and this is the other thing as well, Joey. Something I've learned is that I'll sit here and I'll talk about what our circumstances are, and they are challenging. But mate, we've still got it a lot better than a lot of the people we know. There are people far worse off than us, or massively, with some of these conditions. So it was the having to live in that environment. It was the switching on psychologically to dealing with it, letting go of what's important. Which for me was a job I had to commit to. It was very difficult to commit to for obvious reasons. And what's your priority? I mean, it's very seldom that a man or woman has said, right, you've worked very hard for your business, now you have to let it go. It's that was tough, but hindsight, it wasn't really. It's just an income. I used to think it was part of my identity. That's who I was, what I did, and the business becomes your baby. And I mean, with what you're doing now, adapting to ABC Gym, you can't open your gym up. You can't have the clubs in there. You can't, what you've worked very hard for. So that sacrifice you're going through right now. But these are the times when you have to ask yourself, well, what is important? Massively. And I think the thankful thing is, what's the end outside of this? Well, we're all going through it. We're all doing this together. It's not just a select few bods that are having to endure this. Everyone has to go through this. So whatever we come out into next, and whatever the effects are of these weeks, we're all going to be doing it together.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it was hard because it was going into an ante-room, living in a room. Like I say, the main aspect was the engagement between me and Vic, my missus. She is a character. She's a character, and but she is a great laugh, like a real laugh. Yeah. So it is that our saving grace was that we could have been in war-torn Middle East, and she still would have made it durable and found the fun in it and whatever else. She's always, and that's the other key thing, is that I am the first of us to get negged. It's because she cannot out-neg me, because she is just so. I mean, that's the other thing. The balance is when I am more upbeat, is that's when she can release her valve and she can but that's what worked really well for us. And she is not a medical person. I said to you, this professor contacted us the other day, this head of immunology, and was talking. And Vic is I'm going to get it in the neck anyway, but she is an astereotypical can we go? And can we go?
I've got you.
And but so, and she's not academically focused, she's not that way inclined, but yet here's Vic now, several years on, engaging with this professor of immunology, having a conversation with him, scrutinising what he's saying, challenging back, suggesting things, and I'm sitting there not really following what's going on, you know. So she's amazing. So that's the key saving grace for me and us as a family, is that I've lucked out with her. But when you stop that engagement, because you don't want to keep talking to each other, as everyone's finding now, if you're in a relationship 24/7, is that you tend to move towards these electronic devices. You just got to be so careful with them. You've got to look at them and think, am I really getting any? Because we all sit there, we think, I'm just going to check on the scores when there were scores to be checked on.
Yeah,
and you used to think, 1 minute you're checking on the scores, the next minute you're looking at this weird performance of Layla by a guy on a ukulele, and you think, where have I got here? And oh my God, 45 minutes has gone. And I think everyone has to just be really, really try their best to not get sucked into that at the moment. And just, if you are going to use it, get something from it that's positive. If it's not, just put it down. Put it down.
I like
anything else.
I like that a lot. And I'd say, to be honest, I mean, we will come into a bit of a closing, and then I've got another couple of closing questions for you. But the fact that you have to be far more aware of your, not mental state, but like attitude, if you like, at these times, because of how much you're looked upon by the people that depend on you, as you've said. I think people should probably have a little think about what they're spending their time doing, what they are honestly wasting their energy on, and actually have a think about, if the situation was worse for them, would they be coping if they're constantly consuming the negativity that they see? One of the best things that I've found on my own personal social media platforms, well, definitely Facebook, is that you can just snooze or unfollow, and the moment negativity comes up, gone. I don't delete them as friends, you know, and I normally do snooze for 30 days, and then if they pop up again being negative again, they're gone, because don't need it.
We've all been there as well, Jez.
Yeah.
We've all been there. I mean, I've got no doubt 90% of my friends list have snoozed me.
I've never snoozed you, mate.
No, but do you know what I mean? Because I look back on previous things I've done and thought, where was I at there? And I would have snoozed me. But I think that's the only thing we've got to be aware of at the moment, because we don't have that physical activity. Switch off from the negativity, switch them out, but also ping them a message and say, just seeing if you're all right, and actually say to them, look, I'm not judging you, where you're at, all this shit, that's not a bit of me, so I'm going to tap out for 30 days, but if you need me, just know I'm here, that's all right, see you later. I think that's what needs to happen. I did it en masse. I just went, I'm coming off Facebook, see you later, everything's all right, but I'm clearing off.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing. We just got there's no books. There's no books on parenting or how to be a great dad, or there's no books on how to use social media. There's lots of marketeers out there of how you can get your foot tread, and your exposure, but there's nothing on how as an individual the effects, how it affects people and what they're meant to share. And
I think they
no
don't
one knows.
know.
This is all a self-learn. This is all a
Yeah,
self-learn.
they don't know. It's not old enough, is it? I think
No.
there's probably going to be that kind of tutorial in 50 years' time. It'll probably be a GCSE or a bloody degree. But
I've no doubt.
okay, well, we're going to move over to a little bit of a close. Now, this isn't going to be the only time I get you on, because I want to proper chew your ear off a bit and listen to some more stories that you've got. But we're going to do a short, sharp, sweet one for now. From your own experience, like, you must be the king of lockdown now. What little bit of advice have you got for people that are watching, that are maybe finding this a little bit overwhelming and stuff? What kind of advice have you got for the people that are going through that mindset right now?
Tiny shot of gin liqueur in a pint of Guinness. No, that's not what. I learned the hard way. That's not a tip. It is to don't judge yourself, because we all, or I certainly am, for whatever reasons, I'm a natural judger. I'll either go, oh, I'd like a bit of that. I wish I was like that, or I wouldn't be like that, or and I think it's a human nature, and it certainly is for me. But it don't do anyone any good. So we've all got our own circumstances, and my paternal grandfather used to say to me, who was an Auschwitz survivor. So he'd seen some stuff. But in his later years, he used to say, with a Polish accent, Robert, just remember, no, you are no better than anyone else. You're no better than anyone else. But just remember that no one is better than you. And it stuck with me. My kids say this all the time, and it's always a point we go to. But you need to stop sometimes when you're faced with something and just think, why am I getting annoyed with this? Why am I absorbed by this? You've got to take a breath, because we are literally all in this together. And whether some of us will look on some and say, oh, look at Jerry East. Look, he's 4'8", but look how in shape he is. And look at his successful business. Look at his lovely wife and his kids. He's got it all. And, we're all the same at the end of the day. So just my advice would be, switch off the judging, switch off the stuff that negatively affects you. Take stock of yourself and just make sure you've got the right people around you. And if you haven't, then it's time to move on from those people, give them a bit of space and find a new set. And now more than ever, that's more important.
I love that, mate. Well, we're going to close off with that statement, guys. Remember, I love that, to be fair, mate. If you're not getting what you need from, if people are not being kind and, they're turning on you, then just get rid, and no one is better than anyone. I love that, mate. Absolutely love that. And thank you so much for today.
Keep on doing it, Jez. This is brilliant stuff, mate.
Thank you very much. Well, look, you stay on the line, but you lot, I'm going to get rid of you lot. So, guys, if you have enjoyed today's either podcast or YouTube video, depending on what platform you're using, please do press that share button. If you'd like to get in contact with either myself, or if you'd like to know a little bit more about Rob's story, please either comment below or get in contact via
Give blood.
Facebook page. Make sure you do give blood, guys. I am, I do it myself, and I hate needles. In fact, I'd like to find out how we can probably do that. So I'm going to do a little bit of digging of how to give blood during the lockdown. But most importantly, guys, save someone's life. Do the right thing. Sign up to give blood if you can as well. I've been swabbed for bone marrow as well. So make sure you do the right thing with that as well, guys. Thank you so much for your interview, mate. And we'll see you soon. Cheers, guys.